Hi, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm Lisa Curcio. Today is Monday. It is June 26th, and the year is 2023. This is a special YouTube premiere, which means I'm live with you right now in the chat. Now, tonight I have an amazing diagonal gatefold card with a twist for you. You're going to love how this card expands. In addition to the cards I have to share with you tonight, one of them is going to use a different orientation to give you lots of ideas. Now you're going to want those ideas, so you're going to want to make sure that you download the free project sheet. You're going to find that link down in the video description below when tonight's premiere is all over. That's going to include multiple pictures, cutting dimensions, and all the supplies for the projects I'm going to share with you tonight, of course, as well as the one I'm going to demonstrate with you. Now, we love to interact with you, especially since I'm here live with you. I can answer your questions. Please sign into your YouTube account, which requires your Gmail address. That's going to allow you to chat during the live chat function. It's also going to allow you to comment if you're here watching the replay. And I'm so glad that you've come by. I also want to take a minute and introduce you to Grace Hudson. You'll see Grace's name off in blue to the side with me. She's here to help moderate and answer your questions and provide links for you. All right, we're all ready. Let's go ahead, let's get started. I'm going to bring in the paper trimmer, and we're going to do some scoring tonight. The light blade on my trimmer is for scoring, and there's also a dark blade that's for cutting. They stay on the track at the exact same time. They navigate up and down out of the way. Makes this fantastic. You're going to love this clear cutting guide tonight. You're going to see the importance of that. Now you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock because, as I told you, this diagonal gatefold card has a twist to it, and it's going to expand. These are both the exact same size. They are 4 by 10 1/4. We're going to hold it with the 10 1/4 here across the top. And there's a nice straight ledge here on this paper trimmer. Love it. You're going to be able to find this and all the products I'm using in my online store at lisastampstudio.com. The first score line is at 5.5 inches, so I'm using that ledge to my advantage, and I am going to score. Now I'm going to open up that. I'm going to move that to the side. I'm going to do the other one exactly the same way, 5.5 inches. Now while I have this one here, let's go ahead and let's crease up on this. I'm going to scoot that off to the side. I'm going to fold it, and now is a good time to check to make sure those edges are nice and straight. And we're going to go over that with the bone folder. And I'm going to do the exact same thing here with this one. You know, none of us scores perfectly, so it's kind of a great time to check and kind of shimmy it just a little bit back and forth if you need to correct it. The next thing we're going to do is the same thing on both of them. So let me just start with the first one. You're going to put this back in your trimmer. Now with the short end on the top, we are going to align that folded edge at 3/4 of an inch. And again, there's that ledge to save me. And I'm lining it up at 3/4 of an inch, which is here. And I'm going to take my pencil, and I get lots of comments about this. This is not a Stampin' Up! Product, so it's not in my online store. But so many of you have raved about it. I have it linked for you on my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites. The lead is very, very soft, and the eraser is a champ. Now the clear cutting guide is going to allow me to get that pencil right inside of there. And I'm going to make a small little pencil mark. So let's go ahead and let's do the same thing now with this one. Again, short edge on the top, and you've got it folded. 3/4 of an inch here. We're going to close that, and we're going to make a small mark. What we're going to do now is we are going to open up the card base. And just for the sake of the video, I'm going to draw a little line right here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a tick mark there at the bottom corner. We are going to score from that line to the corner. Now, this is where that clear cutting guide comes into play. That dark section down the center here is where the blade is going to travel. Let me scoot you in a little bit closer so that you can see a little bit better, and then I'm going to move this up. So I'm going to align the pencil mark here at the top of the track, and I'm looking to navigate the bottom here at the bottom of your screen. Let me move you up. And I'm looking to just to do my very best to see that they're aligned. Once I'm happy with that, we're going to use that light blade, and we are going to score. So that's one of them. Now we're going to come back and we're going to do the exact same thing now with this one. So I'm pivoting my paper to make sure that that tick mark is going to fall on the track, and the tip here is at the bottom. And then once I'm happy with that, we'll score once again. All right, we're done with the paper trimmer. I'm going to move that off to the side, and then I'm also going to move you back out a little bit. We are going to erase that pencil mark because absolutely nobody likes those little marks on their paper. And again, that's where this eraser is just such a champ. It leaves no marks on your paper whatsoever. We're going to start with the first one. All you're going to do now is you're going to take that score line here and you are going to fold down. Once again, I'm turning this to make it easy for you to see. You want this raw edge and this edge to be lined up as perfectly as possible. And I'm going to go over that with my bone folder, and we're going to crease that into place. So now we have this piece. We are going to do the exact same thing now with this piece. So I'm turning it so that you can see it easier. Raw edges, lining those up the best we can. And then once I've got that, I'll go over that with the bone folder. Now we're going to actually putting these two pieces together to create the twist. But let's go ahead and let's push this off to the side for just a moment. And we're going to need to do some stamping first. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm using this stamp set called Sweet Citrus. Now you may have seen it before, but it's really fun because it has a hybrid product, which is an embossing folder and dies that you can purchase to go with this. Now let me show you what I did, and I did do this in several colors, but we're going to do one color together. I have the crushed curry ink here, but I'm going to do a little bit stamping off. So I've got my grid paper here off to the side. So you've got an outline image in the stamp set of the fruit. So this is the rind. It also is the solid of the lemon. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink that up, and I'm leaving it face up on my work surface. You're going to find that this allows you to provide better coverage so that you don't miss a spot. I don't want it this dark, so I'm going to stamp off one layer of ink here on my scratch paper, and then I'm going to put the other layer here on my cardstock. Lots of firm, even pressure so that you can press out the entire design. And you're going to notice now that it's lighter than the original color, which is more of that lemon color that I'm after. Now I'm going to clean this off camera, and I'm going to switch over now to the pulp image that coordinates with this. This is all one piece, just like this one. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to ink this up, face up, so I don't miss a spot. And then I am going to stamp off here on my scratch paper. Now, if you're concerned about lining it up, I've got good news for you. It's photopolymer. You're probably going to see my head just a little bit, and I do apologize for that because I want to try to get these as even as possible. And then you're just going to press. Now, since the lemon image itself is solid, there's no pulp for that. But here's what I like. You get 4 for the price of 1, which means you're going to do the work once, and you're going to get 4 different images. Now we're ready to do the hybrid part. This is the hybrid embossing folder that goes with the stamp set. As I mentioned to you, there are also some dies, and there is one piece that comes from the die set. Now this was designed so that it's going to fit here right inside the embossing folder. And I'm going to put it flat so that you can see it. It kind of locks right in here, which makes it simple to use. Now you might be thinking, well, how are you going to get the paper in there and get it all aligned? So one way is to obviously go ahead and put your paper in. Go ahead and lift that up, and I'm going to shimmy that right about here. You're going to need to hold this very, very tightly and then close it. And then what you can do then is shimmy the paper a little bit left and a little bit right to get it perfectly aligned. Now, if you're like me and you have arthritic hands and squeezing and pushing is really, really difficult, you can use these independently, which means emboss and die cut or die cut and emboss. Either way works fine. And then all you have to do is run this through your die cutting machine. But I want to demonstrate that for you. I've got my Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine here. I've got platform 1, which is the base platform. I also have those pieces that we just put together. We're going to go ahead and lay that on top of here. Instead of using your clear mats on the bottom and on the top, you're going to substitute that for the 3D embossing folder plate, better known as plate 4, the specialty plate. And here's why. Do you see how thick that embossing folder is? This is a 3D folder, so you're going to eliminate all the other plates, and then we're going to crank this through. Your machine may make a little bit of cracking and popping, and that is all normal. Let me go ahead and move that machine out of the way. We don't need the plate. And then we're going to come back here, and then all we have to do is disassemble. Now, here's the beauty of this. All the pieces are now embossed as well as die cut. So you can see them all here. It works famously. I love this because, again, you can do all the work very, very quickly. Now, I did do that ahead of time for you, And I also did it in another color because I wanted to do both lemons and I wanted to do some grapefruits. Now I chose to use Bubble Bath for my ink for these, so I did that exact same process twice. So I decided only to use these pieces for right now, so that's why I have them pulled out. But I also wanted to do some additional stamping. So I've got some scrap basic white cardstock here, and I'm going to switch over to my garden green ink. I'm going to ink that up. Nice solid stamp, and of course there's dies for this, so you're going to need 1, 2, and 3. I'm cleaning that stamp just off camera. And then to coordinate, I decided that I wanted to provide some flowers for the blossoms for my fruit. I don't know if there's enough room on there, so let's go ahead and let's bring in that floral image. And we're going to go back to that crushed curry. But you'll remember I stamped off, so I'm going to do that exact same thing here once again. That has now made those flowers a lot lighter. Now I'm cleaning the stamp, and I'm going to move over to this little tiny dot, which is intended to be for the center of my flowers. I'm stamping off again, and I'm going to stamp that in the center, and then I can go all the way around. And I'll do the last one here. Cleaning it because I'm going to do it in one additional color. Now, you'll recall that I decided I wanted a little bit of pink grapefruit on this. So with a clean stamp, I'm coming back to those florals, and we'll stamp those once again in this color. You can see how light it is already, and if I stamp off, you really can't even see it. So I chose not to stamp off on that one. This now is that flower center, and that's going to go right inside of here. And of course, you can do the rest. I'm only going to need that large one for tonight's project. And again, there's dies. But I want to show you one of the most wonderful things about this die set. Let me pull those out for you to look at. You'll see here, when these are all put together, that there are multiples of the leaves. Don't you love that? Because how smart was that? You're usually going to want more than one set, so you can die cut those at the same time. There are also multiples of the flower cluster, which means I can die cut these at the same time. What I do is line them all up by platform at the same time and use all of the dies. The only one I'll have to repeat is that third leaf here. Now, just to save some time, of course, I did do that ahead of your joining me. So I've got all those pieces here. So I've got my leaves, I got a large flower, a small flower, and I also have a small yellow one here. Now, these are all going to be part of the card in just a moment. But let's go ahead and let's get the panel that we're going to attach that to, and then we can put this fun fold together. Now, I wanted all of mine on a piece of basic white cardstock. I'm just going to move you in just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. The very first tip I can give you when you have lots of pieces like this is to go ahead and use your take your pick tool. That putty end is a champ. And I want you to lay out the pieces first. So I've got my large lemon slice here. I'm going to probably put that up here. And I'll take my next one, which is my half slice. I'm going to put that one here. I've got that full lemon here. And I think I'm going to turn this, so this one's going to go here. Arranging them first before you adhere them is so, so important. So I'm going to place another here, and then I'm going to tip my other pink grapefruit this way. Now is the time to rearrange things the way that you want them. And then let's tuck in those leaves, because I've got a great time-saving hack for you in just a moment. I've got some leaves here, and then I've got some more leaves here. And then I'm going to add one more up here behind the top of my lemon. Now, of course, you can rearrange these and tip them however you'd like them. There's no wrong way. I'm going to leave a little bit of room here because I know I want to add some gems when I'm done. Last but not least, we're going to add those flowers, but they're going to go over the top. If you're like me, you have arranged this beautiful collage of how you want your images to look, and then you're never going to be able to get it exactly where you want it. Now, I shared this in a YouTube short recently, but I want to share it with you. It's the Glad Press and Seal. Other wraps do not work. You need to have the press and seal. Now, I've already pulled one off, and actually, I've used this over and over and over again. One side of the press and seal is sticky. If you put it together, you're going to see that it clings to itself. That's the side you're going to use. It is going to be staticky, so I'm going to caution you, you need to work quickly. So you're going to put it right down over the top. I know, kind of crazy, huh? And then you're going to press. And those images are going to stick to the press and seal. I'm going to flip this upside down, and I'm going to remove that white card base that we're going to build on. And do you see what we have here? We've got our collage. And all we have to do now is anchor these pieces together. Now this same piece of press and seal, I have used, gosh, at least 4 or 5 times. But you see how I'm putting the dimensional where those pieces intersect, because you don't want this to fall apart when you flip it over, right? So these are going to serve 2 purposes. It's going to help elevate our image. It's also going to make sure the pieces are staying together. And I do use an abundant amount of these to make sure I don't have to do the work twice. Now you do have some areas that these large dimensionals are not going to fit. So I'm going to bring in my mini dimensionals here. And those are pre-cut to a smaller size, which are fantastic for these smaller areas. But I think some of these might hang off, so I want to make sure I don't put them too close to the edge. We can always do a little bit of card surgery, right? I think that's good for right now. I'd rather come back and add those if I need them. Make sure that they're pushed well, and then once they are connected, I want you very carefully to release it from the other side of the press and seal. Now they should all be connected by those dimensionals. Now I go ahead and I save that paper here in the studio. I just tack it to the bottom of a drawer. What we're going to do now is we're going to use that piercing end of this tool to remove those paper backings. Now because of my arthritis, it's difficult for me to pinch. So that little piercing mechanism here is a lifesaver. So I'm bracing the cardstock and then I'm moving across it to remove those paper backings. And then I have one more here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this right side up. We're going to decide which way that goes. And now we have one piece to work with. Isn't that a lot easier? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack that down here in place. These flowers now, we can add several different ways. You can use glue dots, you can add an additional dimensional. But I'm going to use glue dots. So I'm peeling back one glue dot here. And I've got my large yellow flower. And that's going to go down here. And I'll attach that. And then we have several others. There's my large pink one. And I'm going to add that one now here. That take your pick tool, you can see that works very much like my third hand. Absolutely love this product. You'll buy it once. It's the best few bucks you've ever spent. You'll find that in my online store. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this other one here off to the side. All right, so now we've got our pieces together. I've already cut a layer for this that's going to go behind here. And this is where I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet. And we're going to use this again, but I love to use this when I'm using adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue because it will not stick. You're going to find that sometimes if you get excited like me with the adhesive, it's going to stick to your table, and then you're fighting that sticky spot the whole time you're crafting. So that silicone craft sheet is a saving grace, again, in my online store. All right, we've got that. We're ready to put this together. Let's come back now to these 2 pieces. We are actually going to connect these. So one of these is going to go upside down, and these 2 are going to fit together. So let's turn this over and let's add some adhesive to the back. Now you can use regular adhesive or you can use liquid glue. If you've watched my YouTube videos before, you know I'm not a big fan of liquid glue because I tend to be very heavy-handed, but this is perfect for this because you got a little bit of shimmy space. This is sold in my online store. It's the multi-purpose liquid glue. You might be looking at that stand saying, what is that? Well, I love this because when I have the cap on, it's stored upside down and I'm able to keep the glue always primarily at the top. Now, if you're like me and heavy-handed, do what I do and drag the tip of the glue across the paper. That's going to ensure that it doesn't come out too thick. I'm going to put that underneath me in case I get too excited and I've got some oozing. It won't end up on my table. I'm looking to align that raw edge up to the crease. And then this is where that little bit of shimmy time works because I want to make sure that this is nice and even. And then all we're going to do is we're going to tack these together. So now we've got one expanding piece. Now you might be looking at this thinking, well, how do you decorate those flaps? That's easy. I've already cut my designer series paper, and of course, all of these dimensions are going to be inside your project sheet. So this is just a basic square that I cut on the diagonal, and we are going to attach these. Now I'm going to caution you that if your paper has a direction like mine, you're going to want to be cognizant of which direction you're cutting it in. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this one upside down here, and we're going to use that same principle. Get it started in the middle, and then drag that tip so that you have a very thin bead of glue. The reason I do like the glue is because it's very, very strong, but it adheres pretty quickly. Now this is going to go here, so let's open that up. I'm going to turn it to make it better for your camera angle, and I'm looking to leave an equal margin the best that I can around the outside perimeters. Once I'm happy, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna give that a good push. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing now on this other side. So let's turn that upside down. Again, I'm getting it started in the middle because I hate surprises. You don't want that big clump coming out. Working near the edges, but not all the way to the edge, because there's nothing worse than if it comes out all over the place. And then this one now is gonna go down here. And I'm gonna turn this so that you can see it. And then I'm looking to create that border once again. So I'm looking for equal margins on all those sides. And this is where the glue is really a great thing, because you can kind of shimmy that space a little bit, but it's quick and strong. Now that we have this, we can finish our decorating, and then we're going to talk about the inside panel to this card. I'm going to go back over this, I think, with my bone folder. I just want to give this a really good, nice cursory push, make sure everything is nice and flat. What I'll do next is I'm going to add some side panels, and these are going to go here and here just to add some color. And you'll see the different variations I have for you and my other samples. So let's go back to that silicone craft sheet. We're going to add our adhesive down this area here. And of course, if you're comfortable with liquid glue, you can use that. Push this flap down, and if necessary, take your clear block and let it work to your advantage. You are going to center this here along the side, leaving a small margin. We're going to do the exact same thing now on this side. I just moved the block to make it easy for my hand. You know, use the tools that are around you to make paper crafting these fun folds a lot easier. And then I'm looking now, trying to keep my head out of your camera view, attaching this here, leaving that small margin. And then we'll press that in place. Next step is going to be that image. But you can see we can't adhere it right in the center because of the diagonal expansion and twist to this opening. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is what I do. Grab that pencil once again, and you are going to literally hold this where you're going to want it. So I'm looking to center it here, 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 and here. And then once I'm happy with it, I am literally going to hold it and flip it over. I'm going to take my pencil and make a very, very light pencil line tracing that edge. I know that my dimensionals or adhesive must stay within that pencil line. So I'm going to come back to my dimensionals here, and I know I'm safe near the tip. But these I'm going to work a little bit shallower, so I make sure that if I move it just a little bit, I'm not going to be off course. I'll remove those backings once again, and now we're going to go back here to the front of the card. Do you see what I did? I put the dimensionals in the wrong corner. That's okay, because I had my image upside down. I'm sure you were all thinking, Lisa, you've got it in the wrong way. I do, but let's take a quick look, because it can certainly open this way versus this way, which is how I did the original. I'll show you. It's fine. So let's go ahead and let's push it. I love that there's no right or wrong way, and you can be creative with your cards. So I'm going to open up this flap. You should see no dimensionals here. That's why I hesitated. I'm like, this is not in the bottom left corner. That's okay. Now let's talk about the inside and the embellishments. Now I did do this ahead of time. I just stamped the greeting from the stamp set. I didn't want to waste any more of those cute little die cut and embossed fruits, so I added those with some liquid glue, and I layered it on the same garden green cardstock. Let's go ahead and let's add our adhesive to the back, and I can't wait to share with you these other samples that I created. This is going to open up. There is your expanding twist to this card. And then this is going to get centered right here in the middle. So there's a small margin all the way around, and then we're going to tack that in place. And now this is going to go like this. To keep it flat, I'm going to go ahead and add that block for you. And this is where I brought in these absolutely beautiful iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. So I'm going to take one of the medium size, and I'm going to add that up here in this little bit of blank area. I'm going to take smaller ones now. And you can put these on the diagonal or wherever you choose. I'm going to bring those a little bit closer. And then I think what I'll do is I'll add this other one over here. Definitely don't need them, but I have a hard time making a card without bling because it just really draws your eye in. So I want to show you how this opens. It swivels and it opens, and yes, it'll display, which I absolutely love. I want to show you the one that's inside your project sheet because I attached the front, as I just confessed, differently. So this time I attached it down here. Do you see? So bottom left, which is what I was intending to do when I demonstrated it for you, but there's no wrong way. All right, let me show you these other cards and the products that I used for them. This next one comes from a stamp set called Bird's Eye View. It is brand new. It's in the annual catalog. It's adorable. And here is the card that I made that has the diagonal gatefold with the twist. Very, very simple. Now you might be looking at this thinking, where did you get that? All I did was use the basic black Stampin' Write marker and I traced one of my dies from around the bend. Again, all the supplies and colors are inside your project sheet. There's that beautiful, glorious gingham designer paper. I stamped on the cardstock to create a very subtle border there. Not sure the camera will pick that up. And then there you go. There is your diagonal twist for this card, which expands it. Cute thank you card. Great with the lemons. And then I have one other for you. This is called Lighting the Way. Beautiful stamp set. But you want to know what makes it really awesome? Look at the coordinating dies. Now these are sold separately because they've been carried over from the previous catalog, but you're going to want those. And here is the card that I created. That beautiful flirty flamingo with petal pink. I added some very, very simple flower embellishments, again from around the bend. There's a wink of Stella here on my little glow and on the center of my flower. Plated up with some white classic gems. And again, this one's going to go vertical versus my horizontal. So there's really no end to the possibilities of the cards that you can create. Now, I would love to know which one is your favorite. Do me a favor and pop down right now in the comments and let me know. Your feedback is so important to me. Now, there's a couple things I want to go over with you right now. Speaking of designer series papers, how many of you love them? I know I do. And right now, Stampin' Up! Is having a sale, but there are only a few days left. Select papers are 15% off till June 30th. Head over to my online store. If you use my host code that's on my website, I'm going to give you exclusive and generous rewards. All that information is there for you as well. And then next, how about this? If you'd like even a better deal, right now Stampin' Up! Is sweetened up the deal with the custom starter kit. And you might be wondering why I call it custom. Because you can choose whatever products you want from the catalog and the online exclusives that total $155 in product, but you're going to pay a reduced price of $99 with free shipping. That entitles you to the demonstrator discount cleared to the end of October for 2023. No strings attached. Head over to my website and click on Join for all the details. I would love to add you to my stamping team. And no, you don't have to be a demonstrator in order to enjoy the discount. The vast majority of my stamping team members are just like you, who love to get their paper crafting supplies at a discount. And if you haven't heard about Stamp Studio memberships for $5 a month, regardless of the country you live in, I want to inspire you every Monday. You'll get a free tutorial to your inbox. You're going to absolutely love that because those projects are not designed for any other platform but the memberships exclusively, and they are designed by me. And for $10 a month, you're going to get all that, plus an additional fun fold a month, a discount for my PDF tutorial library, and I do 5 random prize patrol giveaways. Mark your calendar because I'm going to be back with you on next Monday, which is July 3rd already. The year is flying by. Head over to lisastampstudio.com, scroll to the bottom and click subscribe because there I will send you my free PDF tutorial every Wednesday. That's not shared on my other platforms as well. It's just a freebie for you. It's a no-frills kind of email. We would love to include you. Poke around on my website. You'll find lots of goodies there for you. If you've enjoyed tonight's video, a thumbs up here on YouTube is a huge help. And subscribe to my channel. We would love to inspire you some more. I look forward to having you join me next Monday on July 3rd. Have a great evening, everyone.